Welcome to TennTalks. Today we're talking about the people who keep the lights on. Literally. The ones who climb poles in the rain, work through the night after ice storms, and show up when everyone else is waiting in the dark. We're talking about linemen. And before you picture one job, it's new construction, storm repair, fiber optics, high voltage, and one of the most in-demand skilled trades in the entire state of Tennessee. Today, you'll hear from a fiber optic lineman from Riverside High School who is already working his way toward power line work, a 41-year veteran of the industry who now runs the lineman program at TCAT Oneida, one of the only programs of its kind in the state, a journeyman lineman from Unicoi County who grew up with not much and used this career to build something better, and a governor who believes that every county in Tennessee needs linemen, and that this career can keep young people home, earning well, and building a future right where they grew up. These are stories about grit, service, and what it looks like to do work that the whole community depends on. Let's get into it. Our first guest is proof that you don't always need a perfect plan. You just need to know the direction you're heading. Braden Middleton graduated from Riverside High School, knew early on that a four-year university wasn't quite for him, and set his sights on the trades. He completed a residential electrical and plumbing program at TCAT in Henderson in about a year, and is now working as a fiber optic lineman, traveling across state lines to repair storm damage, laying new infrastructure, and building the experience he needs to reach his real goal, power line work. He's just getting started. Please welcome Braden Middleton.
My name's Braden Middleton, and I went to Riverside High School, and right now I work as a fiber optic lineman.
Fiber optic lineman. Now, what inspired you to pursue that specific career?
Mostly just my main goal is to get into power lineman,
Okay.
and this is a good stepping stone to get into that.
Absolutely, because I'm assuming you're dealing with heights the same, right?
Mhm.
Okay. What specific experiences did you have to get into this career?
This career, you don't really have to have much to get started into it, at least where I'm at. They'll normally take you in pretty not knowing a whole lot and teach you from there.
Okay. How long would you say the training process was?
Probably a couple months before you really get to knowing
Get
just
the
about
hang of it?
everything.
Yeah.
But kind of depends with different people.
Now, I'm assuming, too, this is a very teamwork-oriented job when you're dealing with heights. And there's how many are on a crew any given day that you work with?
At the minimum, 3 or 4. At the
Okay.
most, like 6.
Very nice. And then with fiber optics, are you working on, is this more of newer projects, or would you say this is repair?
We do both.
You do both?
Mostly new projects, but my boss has some contracts to do repairs.
Okay.
Like with these ice storms that just came
Oh,
through,
that's true.
we were doing the repairs around here, and we've been in Mississippi the last probably month or so,
Wow.
right at 3 or 4 weeks.
Now, is travel normal in your line of work?
It's getting to be more so now because there's only so much fiber optic you can put up, so we're getting more now to where we're having to move a little further away to get to different jobs.
Okay. Now, tell me about at Riverside High School. Obviously, you had Miss Bree Morton.
Mm-hmm.
When you worked with Miss Bree, what were you guys exploring as far as college options?
I had my mind made up pretty well that
Yeah.
I didn't want to really go to university, so trade school was what I was pretty set on.
Very nice. What specific programs were you looking into then, or did you know immediately?
I wasn't for sure, but I ended up deciding on residential electrical and plumbing.
Okay. Where'd you complete that at?
TCAT Henderson.
TCAT Henderson. I knew there were some programs, and not all of them have the plumbing, right? Did you like that they added that on?
I went there because theirs is more focused on the residential than industrial.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, how long did it take you to complete that?
It was right around a year.
Okay. And then do you remember what specific certifications that you left with?
The certification for electrical and plumbing work.
Okay. And then when you got done with that, did you jump right into fiber optics? Like, were you able to leverage that for the fiber optics, or did you do some work in the residential field before that?
I did some work with that, but it didn't really help for this career.
Right. This was kind of a different line.
I mostly want to do that because have it as a fallback, and
Mhm.
with the residential side, I could do my own work on my own house and
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's right. Well, walk us through a typical work day of what a fiber optic lineman could be looking at.
Uh, Show up, get on base with everybody, what the plan's going to be for the day. Uh, Make sure we have everything, and then we get sent to work and go out.
What part of your job surprises people the most? Like when you're talking about your work day and you go, "Oh, we had to do this," and people go, "I have no clue that you guys would be doing that kind of thing."
Probably just some of the stuff we have to deal with, like some homeowners you'd be surprised how often they try to come out there. Sometimes be good, they'll be happy to see you.
That's right.
Sometimes they want you to get off their property as quick as possible.
Right. Right. Because you're spanning a lot of homeowners in a day, right?
Mhm.
Like especially if you're laying new ground. I mean, it is covering a lot. So I'm guessing that you are mistaken for electric departments, anything that could be on that line, right?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yes. And then sometimes the people could just care less about what we're doing, and they're just like, need y'all to get out
Yeah,
of here.
just need you out either way. What would you say is the most challenging part of your job?
The physical demands probably,
Okay.
because we work bucket trucks, but a lot of times, like when it's raining or something, we'll have to climb the poles, and you get a run that we have to do where it's all through fields or something like that. You could have to climb just about every pole, like 20 something poles in a day between the whole crew.
That's a lot. And so equipment is not getting back there is what you're saying. Like it
Yeah.
is. And so even with perfect weather, there's some things that just can't be got to with that. Who believed in you the most and how did they help along in this journey? Like as you looked at TCAT, as you left TCAT, did a little residential, and as you pivoted to fiber optics, were there any influential mentors or adults that spoke into your life at that time that you were like, yes, I trust this?
Mostly my grandparents.
Yeah. What did they do?
They really wanted me to go to university and at least try it, but I was like, I don't think that's going to be for me. And
Right.
they finally were like, okay.
They come around to it.
They were like, we understand, just whatever you think will be best for you, then we'll support you with that.
That's all.
And they also helped to push me to do the TCAT with the electrical and plumbing to have a fallback and
That's
all
right.
that.
That's right. Well, what does career growth look like in your industry? Like, where do you see yourself heading next?
Hopefully, to work as working power.
Okay. Does that require additional certification from you? Is that something you're looking into?
A CDL is
Okay.
normally that's the best thing to have to help get you there.
Mm-hmm.
Some different jobs, if you have it or if you don't have it, they'll pay for you to get it after you get there. But that's like a good stepping stone to have to help get you on quicker.
Right. Right. What advice would you give a high school student who wants to do what you do?
Probably get a CDL quick out of high school, because that's one thing I wish I would have done too. Is right after I got done my electrical is do the CDL class, because now I'm having to try to find time where I can go do that without
You
missing
probably need
a lot
like
of
a
work.
night class now, right? Gotcha. I gotcha. And then I've got a couple rapid fires if you don't mind. These will sound like big questions. They're not though. What's your favorite part of your job?
The guys I work with.
The camaraderie, the teamwork there.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Be aware of your surroundings at all times.
And then what's the best advice you've ever received? And this does not have to pertain to work. This could just be in life.
Stick with what you want to do. Make sure you stick with it. And then if it still doesn't end up working out, then you can find something else.
I dig it. Braden, thank you so much for coming in, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Braden gave us a look at what it looks like from the ground up. finding your path, getting your certifications, and getting in the field before you have everything quite figured out. Now we're going to hear from the people who build those linemen. Darrell Evans spent 41 years in the power line industry, 31 of them at the Clinton Utility Board, before stepping into the classroom at TCAT Oneida, where he's been teaching for the past decade. Joining him is Amber, one of his graduates who is now working as a lineman in the field, and prove that this career is for anyone willing to put in the work. Please welcome Darrell Evans and Amber from TCAT Oneida. Thank you guys for having us today here at TCAT Oneida. Now, what campus is this labeled?
Oneida.
This is the TCAT Oneida campus. We got to see the linemen actually out and about as we drove up. But before we dive into that, why don't you guys, we'll start with you, Amber, tell us your name, what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Amber Ray, and I am currently a lineman apprentice at Knoxville Utility Board. I'm going through my last apprenticeship year, and something about me would be, I'm going to have to think on that one a little bit.
Well, what sparked your interest in this field? We'll do that.
What really sparked my interest was, the ability to learn something new, a job that is outside, not keeping me inside. I would say that I really enjoy the people I work with and just the experience I've gotten.
Very nice. Then Mr. Darrell?
I'm Darrell Evans. I'm the coordinator for the power line and truck driving technology here at TCAT Oneida. I've been in this field for 41 years. I retired from the Clinton Utility Board with 31 years of service, and I've been here for 10 teaching. And it has been probably the highlight of my career is being able to teach young people.
And what have you taught? So you've been here 10 years
Yes.
teaching. What programs does that include that you've been teaching?
Just the power line and construction maintenance.
Power line and construction
Yes.
maintenance.
Yes.
Very nice. Well, as we dive in, can you tell me, from your perspectives, what do linemen do exactly, and why are these such important and in-demand careers?
Well, lineman is responsible for new construction to new companies, new industry, but they're also responsible for maintenance. Mm-hmm. So anything can happen. Animal, wildlife can cause problems.
That's right.
Squirrels. But new construction would be to like schools like this. But everything that is built has to be maintained. And then, of course, there's Mother Nature. And Mother Nature, she's very powerful. So she can tear things up, and there's no one else to fix that but linemen.
Very nice. Amber, why don't you tell us a little bit about the kind of training that students get in order to become a lineman?
Well, for starters, you got to learn how to climb.
Okay.
That's one of the big things that we begin with.
So you can't be scared of heights in this.
You can't.
Do you know about how high you guys are?
Typically 45, 55 foot. I mean,
Whew,
we've got poles that are higher, so you got to definitely be able to get your climbing down.
Mm-hmm.
And not every pole is guaranteed to be able to be reached by a bucket or off the road. So learning and being able to climb will get you to where you can restore power in right-of-ways.
Okay. And then how long are they in school for this? What kind of training do they get?
This is a 6-month program.
Okay.
In which they get 8 certifications.
Oh,
and
wow.
those certifications will help them in the hiring process. Nowadays, unlike when I was a young man, you hired by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Bob's first cousin's son needs a job. Nowadays, you need to have a lineman school or a little bit of some sort of training under your belt with certifications. So the more certifications you have, the less that a company has to send and pay for that.
That makes sense. And you said it's a 6-month program here. You're in your final apprenticeship. Is that what you said with Knoxville Utility?
I am in my final apprenticeship with Knoxville Utility Board.
Okay.
They have a 5-year.
A 5-year. That was my next
program.
question. So you did
Yes.
6 months, and now you're in your 5th year of the apprenticeship.
Yes, it really helped me coming through this class, and Darrell instructed me and kind of get me where I need to be, because I was very fortunate whenever KUB employees came up here to overlook before they started hiring, and they got to see a glimpse of me. And what was the question? I never forgot.
Oh, just about the apprenticeship in general.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I just thought it was fascinating that it's that long of an apprenticeship. You know, this is obviously very dangerous work. And so when you hear 6 months of training, you're like, okay, well, is that enough? You know, is that long enough? And it is to get you in the door. And
Yes.
then the rest of this is on the job training that you
Yes.
receive over those years.
Yes, you definitely have like a lot of book work, and there's a lot of things that you have to memorize. And that is one thing that I did not realize whenever I first started, is everything I'd have to learn. And the cool thing about line work is that you'll always continue to learn.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a million different ways that you can do something. Every job is different, and it's definitely a unique experience. I'm very blessed.
It doesn't matter if you have 40 years in, you'll learn something. You're
Yes.
always learning in line work. That is what makes that job so unique. There's always something with electricity that you didn't know before.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that includes too, you know, new codes that come out. But how is technology impacting that for you guys?
Well, technology is, on the safety side, it's so much better now. And, you know, and unfortunately, for it to get to that point, there had to be accidents for things to change. But the belts that they climb with, and hopefully I'll get to show you guys that today, they're now very safe. When I climbed, if you slipped, you fell to the ground. Now they have belts that cinch the pole if you slip. So they're very expensive, but they will stop you from falling and getting hurt. And so in the safety side of the industry, it is so much better. Construction side, how do you feel about the construction side? There's a lot more automated things now. We run fiber optic now, and I'm sure she might have been involved in some of that, where we run fiber optic out to our switches, and where a lineman used to waste time going from switch to switch to do it manually, now they call in and the company can type it in, and the switch is motor operated through fiber optic, and the switches operate themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, KUB has been installing a bunch of interrupters, which is what we call it, and we have to connect a little piece of fiber into them to where they can control it
Wow.
automatically.
You know, and I was going to ask about the job market, but it sounds like they're coming to you guys.
You know, it wasn't like that at first. I really had to network very hard until we got a reputation of being a good school with a good product, and now we put hundreds of people into the field like Amber. And yes, a lot of companies call me now. We have a job opening. Do you have anyone available? So, that was our goal. That was where we wanted to be, where people wanted to call us to get our students.
And what's cool too is being under a TCAT means that you're eligible for financial aid. Tennessee Promise covers this program.
Pell Grants. The VA bill pays for the veterans, helps with the veterans. So yeah, as long as they keep up their Tennessee Promise, their most of their tuition, if not all their tuition, will be paid for. Now the tools are expensive. You know, they have to buy their own tools. And, you know, in this line of work, that safety I was speaking of, you know, that's $1,100 just for that one safety. And they have two safeties on their belt. So when you see a lineman out here working, he's got $3,700 worth of tools that he's wearing.
Wow. $3,700 makes a lot of sense, though, when you consider the high voltage you guys are.
Yes.
You know, it's not something to play with.
No,
you know, this is up high and high voltage. So I guess that does make sense that it would need some very specialized tools. This is not something you're getting at Walmart or Harbor Freight.
Right.
And are you guys the only TCAT program currently in Tennessee that has this?
We have another program that is getting started, I think, in Livingston.
Oh, very nice.
At Livingston TCAT, yes.
So this was obviously the model. This was like, hey, this was something, and it's successful.
We've had other,
yes,
and we've had other TCAT schools visit here. It's a tough start to get all this going this way. It's a tough start, but we have had other TCAT schools visit here.
Well, why don't you take us through a day in the life? What after someone leaves the 6-month program? What's a day in the life of a lineman look like?
Go ahead, Amber. You're doing it. You do it.
Tell us about it.
Well, each day varies. And at KUB, we have different sections. So we have people that just run maintenance or reconduct or new service.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm on a reconduct crew.
Right.
And so we have been, changing out wire sizes, upgrading a lot. And typically my days, begin with getting material ready for the day, what we're going to have to do, getting our job briefing done, figuring out what everybody's role will be, and then kind of executing. Each day does vary because you're always doing something different, which is the cool thing.
That job briefing is an early morning activity that's a must in this industry. Every person in the crew has to hear the job briefing and sign off on it so they fully understand what's going to be happening that day.
And this is very crew-based, right? How many are in your crew?
Typically, we have about 4
Okay.
to 5 people.
And then I don't want to ask you how big of a radius, but like how far out, could you see yourself going in a day from where you started?
Well, KUB actually covers multiple different counties, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a very big area that we have to cover. Some utilities are a lot smaller. I think we have over 20,000 customers on our system.
Wow.
So we can drive at least
Well,
up to an hour
Of
Right.
any
away from
direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I came from a smaller, what we would call a smaller sister utility to KUB, Clinton, and we had power in 7 counties, and there was only like 30 linemen to take care of that. So people don't realize sometimes every time you go in and you turn that light switch on, who's out there keeping that coming to that light switch? There's not that many people that can do this, and they're very dependent upon you, and you do give up a great deal of your life. And I tell my students, and I told Amber when she was here, I miss Christmases, I miss birthdays, I miss I miss ball games. You can't take that phone call and say, I don't feel like working. That's not how it works.
You're too vital of a part of the
This is what
community.
you've dedicated yourself to. You
Right.
have to go and get it done.
And especially in those smaller communities, I'm sure they knew you by name when
Yes.
something went wrong. It was
Everyone knew the lineman
was
in
Dar-
town.
is
yeah.
Daryl is he
Good or
there
bad,
yet?
good or bad, everyone knew you.
Daryl's taking too long to get the lights back on, something like that, or I wonder what he's facing.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of what you're facing, you talked about that being a huge challenge. What are some of the other, like the biggest challenges of being a lineman that you face?
For me, I'd probably definitely say, the weather. Whenever it gets cold or it's pouring down rain, them can be some challenges, and, ice and everything being slick. That would be a great challenge. And then sometimes, in the summer, a lot of people, what's it whenever they have a
Heat
yeah,
stroke,
a lot of
yeah.
people have a heat stroke. So there's a lot that you've got to account for and take care of yourself and make sure that you have what you need to get through.
Right,
each day.
hypothermia.
Yes.
We're trained for all that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hydrate. You have to watch. You are your brother's keeper in this work. Sometimes, if Amber was with her partner back in the mountains, if anything happens, they each have to be trained to take care of the other. So there's a lot of training that goes into that.
So you're watching out for your partner too, saying,
Yes.
hey, you're not looking good. You may need to hydrate. You may, or you feel all your joints.
Yeah.
It's cold, things
Yeah.
like that. So I guess that's what I mean by when I've heard it's very crew based. Like you have to be
Yes.
very,
Yes.
your brother's keeper is a good way to put it.
And when you're up in the air working in a bucket truck and you're working on energized lines, you once again, your eyes is always watching your partner, and he's always watching you. And believe it or not, you can keep from getting hurt by something happening by your partner saying, "Hey, wait a second." And that's why it's so important to keep your mind on your business and your mind on your partner.
Now, what would you say are some of the biggest rewards of the lineman?
I would say one of the biggest rewards for me have been, whenever I have restored power and people in the community come up and they thank us and they're very grateful for it. And I feel like that's such a blessing and a reward to just get to experience that. And the people I meet too, that are very looking over for me and watching out and just making sure that I'm taken care of and how I'm doing. My foreman now has been great for that. So I'm very grateful for him because he definitely looks out for me.
I'll have to agree with her. Like I said before, there's not that many to take care of a large population, and people really look up to linemen and line ladies. They really look up to you. I will give you one example of what made my heart jump. Was a Christmas morning. We had worked all night, ice and snow, and at daylight we restored the power. And I heard a door open, and two little kids come running out the door. They ran down their slick driveway, and they run up to us at the edge of the driveway, and they had made a handmade Christmas card for us. And you just know.
Right.
That's when you know this is what you were meant to do.
That's right.
You know?
Wow. What about students when they leave here? So they've completed their 6 months. What are some of the starting salaries that you see students get to walk out with?
Well, it's according to what there's union jobs, there's non-union jobs, there's fiber jobs, so it kind of varies. But somewhere in the low 20s to where I think Amber might have started at the low 30s, maybe
either
$34 an hour.
And that's just
high
starting.
20s or low
Yeah.
30s.
So it sort of varies with the company.
That's right.
Or being phone, fiber, or electric. It varies a little bit, which we place in phone, fiber, and electric.
Oh, so there's a lot of variety then.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Would you say that one travels more than the other?
Electric will always,
travel a little
yeah,
more.
unless you're lucky enough to be hired at your local utility or a utility close to where you live, you can plan on traveling.
You can plan on traveling.
You can plan on traveling.
And those starting salaries you talked about, that is at the beginning of your apprenticeship work. And so I imagine there's some
Yes.
milestones you can hit within those apprenticeships to bring it up even more.
And there's additions to that pay. If you're traveling, companies will generally pay your daily per diem. So you're getting money every day for living expenses too. Yeah.
Okay. So traveling's kind of lucrative if you can.
and
if you can stand
traveling hourly for traveling can be a little higher. A lot of times you're working in different districts, like up north, maybe where they pay more. So yes, some people like to travel and work for a while, and then they like to get experience, and then they'll come back and try to go to work near their place of where they grew up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then of course they've had the experience then
Yes.
to be
Yes.
an
Yes.
appealing candidate.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if a high school student was interested in this now, I'm sure you guys get high schoolers that come tour. What is some of the advice you give them? What subjects should they be paying attention to? What can they do to get ahead in their senior year?
Definitely math. Math comes into play a lot in what we do.
Okay. Would not have guessed that.
I was weak in math, and when I went into this industry, I had to relearn myself math. So yes, and engineering in every department or in every utility is going to handle most of the complicated math, but there are calculations that a lineman has to do every day to figure load on a transformer if it's overloaded. So there are some math calculations that you have to learn, but I don't think it's anything that people can't handle. It's not trigonometry.
Right.
It's just
Right.
so, yeah.
And then in closing, I'd love to hear from each of you. What is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self starting out in a lineman career? Mr. Harrell, you can go first.
Well, the math for sure. I mean, that's one thing. I wish I had been more studious when it comes to that. I got through it. I got through my 4 years. Training to be a journeyman lineman is 6,000 hours of training, which is basically equivalent to what you would put in to get an engineering degree. So don't come in with thinking that it's just going to be work at first, just plain hard work. There will be a lot of book work. So prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for travel. One thing that I told all my students every class, I tell my students, if you have a significant other, okay, a lot of times they won't talk about the future, and the future for a lineman is I might not be home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think you can probably remember me talking about that.
Yeah.
You got to make your significant other aware that I might be gone 4 days a week. I might be working in Murfreesboro. I might be working in Johnson City. So that's another thing that I think everyone needs to think about. You know, if you don't want to leave your girlfriend, your boyfriend, it might not be something you want to do.
Yeah, clear communication's kind is what you're saying.
Yes.
Get the expectations up front.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, Amber, what about you? What a piece of advice would you give the younger lineman?
One thing that I'd give is to keep your head up. I mean, you're going to have trials and tribulations in your life and throughout your program, and just keep working hard. You're going to have people that try to put you down, but my best thing, is just to pray and, just be thankful for all your blessings. I mean, I'm thankful to get to come home every day, and there's a lot of linemen out there that, might not have gotten to come home or, have looked back and be like, I probably shouldn't have made it back home. So definitely keep your head on a shoulder. Leave your problems at home and stay focused on what you're doing.
Be present while you're there.
Yes,
and
I hear that a lot from a lot of people is to be present. Because, I mean, anything could happen at any time. Very unexpected.
Electricity is invisible.
It is.
Okay? You have to be very respectful. If your mind's not on your business, it's very dangerous for you.
It can be. And a lot of people don't want to really look into that or pay attention to that. And
they are the ones that get hurt.
They are, yes.
Now, Amber, I don't believe I've met very many line women. How has that been as you started your training, as you're on the job now, being hopefully not one of the few for long, but being one of the few in your field right now?
Yes, I would say that it has its challenges. And I personally have to, I know that I had to work harder. I've got to work harder than the other men or other apprentices that I'm going through my apprenticeship with, because I've got to prove myself. I've got to prove that I'm meant to be here just as much as anybody else. And since it is few women in this field, you just got to definitely work extra harder on it. And I have had some great people that, maybe at first wasn't too keen on having me around, but after they got to know me and knew that I wanted to be here, I wanted to learn and do this job, I've been able to change some perspectives, and now I have a lot of people that, look out for me and want to help me and make sure that I'm the best that I can be, because I tell them, I just want to be the best. And I might never be the best, but I'm going to be close. That's right. If there's any young ladies that want to do this line of work, I would definitely suggest that you go in full force. Don't let anybody talk you down. And definitely having people behind you to support you has helped me tremendously. My mom has been she's been one of my best supporters I've had in my corner, and I'm very fortunate for her. So definitely having somebody that will push you and support you, you'll make it.
Stay confident.
Yes, stay confident. And just know, you just got to be able to learn a lot and take into consideration, what could happen. And definitely you have to think a lot too. So as long as you can think, and, physical strength does have to come into play, because, we do a lot of stuff that is heavy, but you learn ways to rig and get around that a little bit.
It's
so that's
doable.
nice as
That's
well.
right.
So it's doable.
We talked earlier about
It is.
respecting electricity. It's keeping your head on a swivel, keeping an eye out. You said safety's come a long way in this. Talk a little bit more about I don't want to say the fear, but the motivation to keep your head on that swivel. What are some of the things that could go wrong? What can we do to prevent them?
In my career, if a cat gets 9 lives, I probably used 8. Honestly, And a lot of that, and most linemen my age are going to tell you the same thing. Some of it might not have been avoided. It might have been Mother Nature. But most of the time, it's just complacency. And you come to work with something else on your mind, and you make a mislick, you get a flash. But almost all, 99% of injuries in this work is human related. So, my advice is, you gotta
You gotta wear your cover.
wear all of your PPE.
Yes, your proper PPE.
You gotta take care of yourself health wise. You gotta go to bed at night. I mean, that sounds crazy, but you don't want to come in
Exhausted.
partying
No.
at night and you come to work groggy because you might be handling and moving 7,200 votes live. So you want to. And linemen aren't the best people to go home and go to bed.
Well, and sometimes you guys don't have many hours in between, right?
No.
I mean, you get those weather
No.
disasters, and it's
Right.
days and days.
You're exactly right. They work you hard for 20, 30 hours, and then they let you go home for about 8. Then you're right back for 16. That's how it works. So he gave me gray hair early.
Definitely gotta use that 8 hours off very diligently.
Yeah, go to
Get home
home,
and get in the bed, especially if you know
bed.
you're on
Yeah.
storm and having to come back in the next day to work.
Yeah.
Because that could be a hazard, especially whenever you're operating behind a wheel. And I know that I've had
Now,
tired days.
You mentioned the fear of electricity. I respect it so much because it is invisible, and it was my career. But nowadays, the training regiment that linemen go through, if you just do what you're told and you wear your gear, you will have a long career and never have a problem. Never have a problem.
And cover up
You
is a
know?
big thing, too.
Yeah.
I mean, KV's definitely about putting some cover up on the.
Yeah, that's rubber
Ones,
goods that
yes.
protect you. You put
Okay.
the cover up on the line. You've got sleeves.
It helps from
you've got
accidental
rubber gloves,
contact.
You got glasses. You got your hard hat. In some instances, you have a face shield. So if you have all your personal gear on and your cover up on, you can do that job very safely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how you guys talk about electricity, similar to how sailors talk about the sea.
Yes.
You respect it because it's
Yes.
better than you. It's bigger than you. It's
It is.
more powerful. And so coming at it with that respectfulness, I feel like is a great approach to it.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for letting us hang out with you today. And thank
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Daryl and Amber gave us a real inside look at what the training looks like, what the job demands, and what it feels like to restore power to a community that needs you. Now we're going to hear from someone who knows exactly what that feeling is like and has a story that a lot of students in rural Tennessee will recognize. Dawson Gambrell grew up in Unicoi County, didn't know what a lineman was until his senior year of high school, started as summer help, flagging traffic and pulling rope, and worked his way all the way to journeyman lineman at Irwin Utilities. After an associate's degree from Northeast State and a 4-year apprenticeship, he hit every milestone he set out for, and he did it all while working 3 jobs at once. Please welcome Dawson Gambrell.
My name is Dawson Gambrell. I work at Irwin Utilities, and I went to Unicoi County High School.
Fantastic. When you were younger, what did you want to be?
Man, to be honest, I really didn't know what I wanted to be.
Okay.
I didn't have a clue. I didn't know until like my senior year, probably.
And how did that process work your senior year?
So, Miss Jody, she, I guess the Ayers Foundation was maybe their first year in the high school, first or second year, I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to, I didn't think I was going to go to college or anything. So you already know she caught wind of that and picked me up, son. It's like a crane, just picked me up. And yeah, so I didn't know what to do. We were looking at careers, all kinds of different careers, and just so happened the nurse at the time that worked there, her husband was a lineman.
Okay.
So she was telling me about the career stuff, and to be honest, I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know who kept the lights on. So it was pretty cool to figure out about that,
Absolutely. That's one of the fun things about Ayers Foundation is, students only know what they're exposed to sometimes. You know, so like you said, like I didn't even know that was
Yeah.
an option. So after you discovered it, how did you get into being a lineman? What was your education journey from there?
So I had to go to I went to a community college,
Mhm.
Northeast State Community College. Got my associates in electrical technology, and while I was in college, I tried to be we call it summer help. I guess
Okay.
it was you could call it an internship at
Mhm.
Irwin Utilities, just because that's my hometown, and so I got the interview. I got lucky, got the interview, and they hired me. I started work that Monday, just as summer help.
And what
Try
does
to
the
get my
summer
f-
help get to do?
Mainly, what I did was flag traffic.
Okay.
And I was the guy on the shovel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just anything to get that foot in the door.
Yeah, we were pulling fiber lines through Irwin, and I pulled the ropes to pull the lines in.
And how long was that? Just one summer, or did you do that multiple summers?
They kept me after I started that summer. They kept me through the winter. I haven't left since. So
Started as summer help,
Yeah.
became permanent help from there.
Yeah. Yep.
What was the hardest adjustment when you started college though? So like you went to Northeast State in that electrical program. What was the hardest adjustment when you got there?
You talking about just like from high school?
Yeah, like
Oh,
it's a
man,
whole different animal.
Yeah, it's a big place. My hardest thing was trying to find my classes.
Mhm.
I had a hard time with that. Other than that, once you got settled in, though, I felt like it was kind of just like high school a little bit. I didn't feel that different, but it was just like the getting from like point A to point B was a little big for me, because it's a big place,
That's true.
That's
true. Was there any point of that associates that you felt like made a mistake? I don't want to do this anymore, or did you feel pretty good the whole time about like I'm on the right path?
I mean, for me, remember, I was like, who likes school? So I was getting burnt out. There's times I got burnt out, but I held strong, man. I had to keep going.
Why don't you walk us through what a typical workday looks like now? Now that you've exited the summer help program, you're not flagging traffic anymore. What's it look like now?
So now I'm a journeyman lineman. So, I went through a 5-year program. You got a year groundman program and then 4 years in your apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like on the pole change-out crew. That's basically what we do is change out poles. That's basically a work day for us. I mean, we do all kinds of different things, but mainly we just changing out poles right now. So
bringing them up to date, finding the worst ones first, I'm sure.
Yeah, rotten poles.
Okay.
How
many are actually with your crew to do that?
So on my crew, we got we got 2 crews. I'd say a service crew, and then my crew. We probably got 5-6 guys. It depends on how many guys the service guys need.
Mm-hmm.
The service guys, they do all kinds of different stuff too.
What's part of your job that surprises people the most? Like when people ask you about it?
Probably just the fact that you get to touch electricity. Like most people are they're scared of it, and it's something that you should be scared of, but you just have to respect it. You got to watch it. I don't know how else to put that, but yeah, it's
respect. I think is a great way to put that.
Yeah. You just have to respect it. That's probably what people are most like. You tell them you're a lineman, they're like, "Oh man, I don't think I could do that because I don't want to touch it." And I'm like, "You could do it, man. You could do it."
I've heard there's some great safety equipment now. What's some of the safety equipment you use
some of our PPE. Mainly your rubber goods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just these big rubber hoses you slide on the lines. We wear these big rubber gloves, which at first are a little bit intimidating, but you get used to them. We got rubber blankets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff
to keep people safe now.
Yeah, and if you can kill something, you got your grounds to ground it, but keep yourself in the same potential.
Mm-hmm.
There's a list of things a mile long.
That's awesome.
That's the basics, though.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your work?
I would say the all-nighters sometimes they get challenging. Sometimes trees fall in the middle. They fall all hours of the day. And sometimes when you work all night and then you have to work all day, it can get to you. But man, that's the most fun that I have is working trouble work like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that's probably the most challenging.
Are you guys like just on call for that? Like, how does that work when something
so
goes down?
we rotate call, but like when something like that happens, most of the time we're all out there.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So something big like that happens, you can expect to see the whole crew coming in.
Yeah, there's nine of us in the electrical department.
Okay. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh man, I have the best story for that. So you guys know about Helene, like right here, right? So we were out on the river, and this falls in hand, like when just getting people's lights back on. So we throw a fuse in out on the river. I was up in the bucket, threw this fuse in, and there's just the last house on the system, and there's like 8 kids ran out. They ran out. They were jumping. The dogs were jumping. Everybody was happy we got the lights back on, you know.
And you got to see that
Yeah,
firsthand.
yeah, and that's my favorite part of the job.
Man. What skills would you say are the most important for someone in your career?
Probably like, I'd say at first you got to have a strong back, and then after that you got to have good problem solving skills. I would say, because man, every job's different. There's different obstacles on every job that we do. Something different in the way, you know, whether it be the sewer line in the ground that we got to dig around, or a communication line on the poles with us. I would say problem solving is probably something.
And then what skills do you use the most that you did not expect? Like when you set out in high school and you were talking to Miss Jody with the Ayers Foundation about being a lineman, what's something that you never could have saw coming that you would need to use?
Yeah, we communication is a really important key that we have to use. We got to all know. We got to all be on the same page. The whole crew got to be on the same page. That way we can get this job done the most efficient way we possibly can.
Do you think it's more teamwork than what you expected,
Yeah,
or did you know that ahead of
Yeah,
time?
tons of teamwork, man. I couldn't do it without the guys I work with. And I know they know this and they don't want to hear it again, but they couldn't do it without me.
That's right. That's right. Who believed in you the most, and how did they help along this journey? You know, somebody who's open about, I didn't think I wanted to go to college at all, and then starting at Northeast State, going through this apprenticeship program. Were there any adults along the way that you were just like, without them, I wouldn't be?
Dude, yeah,
in this
100%.
now?
My grandfather,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that man, he's an angel sent from God. He's a good man. He was right there by my side the whole time.
Did he give you any advice along the way?
Yeah, he gave me some different kind of advice, I would say.
I was
yeah.
saying anything you can say on a microphone?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
But it kept you going.
Yeah,
it kept
me
you here.
going. Yeah,
That's right.
for sure.
That's right.
I got you.
You talked about your grandfather being an angel sent to earth.
Yeah.
You know, how did he become such a big influence in your life?
Yeah, so he let me move in probably like the 8th grade. I moved in with him, and we grew up poor, we grew up rough. He just took me in, man. I come from a different kind of family, you know, and actually it's pretty popular in this area. We grew up with not much, you know. That's what I'll leave it at that. We grew up with little.
And so your goal out of high school was just to make sure
Yeah,
you
that
had a
I
better
had
life
some more. Yeah,
than
and
what
especially for my kids that I hope to have one day.
right.
To give them more.
So when you were looking at careers outside of high school, like that was kind of the goal. You're like, I just need to take that next step.
Yeah.
Further
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. That's fair. What does career growth look like in your field? What would you like to see yourself doing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, to be honest, I kind of hit all my milestones. So right now I'm content at this moment, but
And that's a great place to be.
yeah, God,
I
it
mean,
is. Yeah,
that
I
is
love it.
Exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
Would there be any reason to go get any more education or certifications in your line of work after you've achieved? I mean, because I don't want to understate.
Yeah,
You got your associates, and then
Yeah,
your
no.
apprenticeship was 4 years.
4 years.
4
yeah.
years. So you're looking at 6 years of education right there.
Yeah.
Would there be any reason to have to go get anything else?
No, to me, no.
You hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
What about what advice would you give a high school student who maybe was like you their junior year, thinking, there's really nothing that I want to do here in college or going like that. What advice would you give yourself in college, or sorry, in high school?
Man, talk to the Heirs Foundation. they'll get you going. Definitely go to school.
Yeah.
Definitely go to school, man. Just get you any kind of degree. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's guys that work for us and they make great money and they just have a degree and they got a job in something way different. That's something that I've seen. Just get a degree.
That's right. Something to get you in the door.
Something to make that resume look good.
That's right. And then be willing to learn from there.
Yeah.
I have a few rapid fire questions I love to ask. They're not super rapid fire quick, so feel free to take your time answering them.
Okay.
But what would you say is your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job, definitely getting people's lights back on. Definitely that part, man. That's rewarding. I love that. I like to work trouble work. I like getting called out at 3 a.m, and I get to use my brain and think about things, because it's different kind of jobs.
And my brain does not work the best at 3 a.m., so God bless you for liking that challenge.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Oh, the biggest lesson, man, the biggest lesson I've probably could tell or whatever on this microphone, probably dude, just stick at it. You gotta keep working hard.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta keep working hard. You can't give up.
That persistence is going to pay off.
Yes.
I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on where you think technology is going to take your career in the next 10 to 20 years. As someone who's hit the milestones you like, that's, you're doing what you love to do. What are some of the new things that you think are coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, man. So it's already, since I've been here, the technology has helped us out tremendously. It's crazy the new stuff they got now, these SCADA systems and all this online stuff. So when we never seen that coming, so there is literally no telling where technology could take this profession.
Give me just a little bit. You said a SCADA system?
Yeah. So it's like we can now tell if there's one house out, on the end of the system,
Mm-hmm.
our meters read back and forth. It'll tell us how many people we got out. We can go exactly where it is. I mean, they can even find where a tree fell on the power lines. They can figure that stuff out.
So it's taking a lot of at least the early legwork out of the way.
Yeah,
to give
used to it was somebody just called an answering service and you had to go out there and find the problem. But nowadays you can just, the guys in the office can figure out anything for you.
Wow.
They can figure out exactly where this tree is falling. We know what houses are out now.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it a little bit easier. We got maps on our phones, and we can see what's on the pole and see what we need to take out there and stuff like that.
Wow. And then just in closing, I'd love to hear what would you say to a student who has doubts that they're not smart enough to do something like this?
Oh, dude, you know what I made? You know what I made on my ACT? I made a 13 on that.
Okay.
I promise you're smart enough to do this job.
There you go. There you go. 13.
Yeah.
College graduate, though.
Oh, yeah.
Apprenticeship.
Oh, yeah. Journeyman lineman.
Oh, yeah. It is possible. It's out there.
Yeah, for sure. You can do it, man.
Dawson's story is exactly what this episode is about. A young person from a rural community who found a path, stuck with it, and built something real right in his hometown. To understand just how vital stories like Dawson's are to the entire state, we're bringing in someone who sees the big picture. Brian Soulsby is the executive director of the Tennessee Municipal Electric Power Association, advocating for 60 municipal utilities that serve 2.5 million meters from Memphis to Bristol. He's here to talk about the massive six-figure earning potential in this field, why teamwork is a non-negotiable, and how being a lineman isn't just a job, it's a community-driven public service. Please welcome Brian Soulsby.
Hello, I'm Brian Soulsby. I'm the Executive Director of the Tennessee Municipal Electric Power Association. And our role is advocating for the 60 municipal utilities across the state of Tennessee that represent 2.5 million meters.
Wow. And this stretches all the way across Tennessee. So you've got customers from the farthest west to the eastern of east?
Yes, sir. So in the state of Tennessee, everybody buys their power from TVA except for a small area in the Kingsport vicinity. And so you have 60 municipal utilities and 22 electric cooperatives. And so we have from Memphis Light Gas and Water to Bristol, Tennessee Essential Services. So yes, we do go from corner to corner.
Now, what sparked your interest in this career? How did you get to where you are now?
Well, I like the pun there. So, I've always believed in public service. I went to college at the U.S. Air Force Academy, served my country in the Air Force. After a brief stint in the private sector in a Fortune 100 company, I found my true love when I went to work in the utility sector. And so I worked at both large utilities like Knoxville Utilities Board, as well as rural small utilities like Etowah Utilities in McMinn County, and then went to TVA and ultimately to the statewide association supporting all of those 60 utilities.
Very fascinating. Well, bringing it back to what our students are looking at, can you tell us what exactly do electricians and linemen do? Why are these such important and on-demand careers?
Yeah, so certainly we'll be focusing on the line worker side in the utility space. And, the linemen are the one who get out there, get into the buckets, and get the lights back on. Certainly there's many facets to it, and we can talk about a lot of those. But you have your blue sky days that we certainly deal with, but it's when the rubber meets the road, just like the ice storm we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. When the power's out, those are rough, brutal conditions, but it's so rewarding when you're out there seeing people get their lights back on and their power, of course.
What kind of training do students typically receive for this?
Yeah, so it's pretty complex. It is a 4-year plus apprenticeship. And so, there are some options there. There are a couple of lineman training centers as well as some pre-apprentice programs through TCAT that you can do. And then once you're selected and start an apprenticeship at a utility, then it is a 4-year process of going through continuing advancement. And then ultimately after that 4+ year, and I say that because some utilities have a 4 is the general rule, but some utilities have a 4.5 or 5-year program just to make sure you don't rush through it. And then at that point in time, you're a journeyman line worker for the remainder of your career.
Okay. What is a typical day? Let's start like in the beginning. So you said there's a year training program. Is this a lot of classwork, a lot of hands-on? What do you know what the typical day is for those beginner students?
Yeah, so there are a couple of phases of where you will go off to normally a third-party class for a week at a time or a couple of weeks at a time for more intense. But then the rest of the time it's more on-the-job training, working alongside of a crew. Gotcha. Of all various levels of experience. Normal line crew that is out there working is going to be 4 to 5 people or 4 to 6 people, and so you have normally a foreman, a couple of journeymen, and then maybe an apprentice or 2.
Okay. What kind of lineman jobs are available in Tennessee right now? Is this something that we see strong opportunities in rural areas?
I think it's one of the best jobs in a rural community. I mean, when you look at, again, I was in Etowah, which is in McMinn County. Every town needs line workers, and so it's not that getting in the door is often the challenging thing, because when you go to a small town where they only have 8 or 12 line workers, you got to wait on one to retire. And so I think that's where getting engaged early and talking to your local utility, expressing interest, finding summer opportunities that you can get out there. Like you'll hear many say they worked with as meter readers getting started, or I was talking to a utility today and they hire a lot of theirs out of the right-of-way crew, which is out there in the brush, stuffing brush into the back of a chipper. Mm-hmm. It's not very sexy, but it's certainly the way to earn your keep, as Mom used to say, and be able to earn your way into the utility and into that apprentice opportunity that will likely present itself in due time.
And once someone completes the initial training program and they start that apprentice portion, what is the starting salaries for that students could expect to start with?
Yeah, so I think that you'll be surprised. In most instances, I think you're looking in the mid-20s. So you're looking at, you could be 18 years old, going through possibly through one of those pre-apprentice programs like the North American Lineman Training Center, which is in McEwen, or there's another one that's down in Georgia, the Southeast Lineman Training Center. For example, there's also one up in Oneida, I think, that's more through TCAT. Yeah. And those are great opportunities to get started. So you could be looking at starting in there at 18 years old after a short, I forget the exact length of those programs, and they probably have some variance between 6 to 13 weeks. Then you're looking at getting on a utility starting at $24, $25 an hour.
And how does that change over time when they hit, that journeyman status?
Yeah, so I think most utilities would provide steps as you go from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 and 4. And then when you become a journeyman, you're looking at mid 30s to low 40s. Certainly in more urban areas like Nashville Electric would probably be 40 plus, whereas maybe a more rural area, maybe $36 an hour.
Wow. So it's definitely worth the investment there to see that step by step, year by year.
Yes.
Why don't you walk us through a day in the life? So we've talked about what the classroom setting looks like, getting those trainings. What about in a journeyman lineman status? When they hit that, what's a typical day in the life of theirs look like? What's the mix? Is it more outdoor field work? Is there indoor shop work? Is there, working at the heights?
Yeah, no, it's definitely predominantly outdoor work. You do have some indoor safety classes and those kind of things that are routine. Safety is paramount when you're thinking about working on high voltage. And so, that would be the time that you would be indoors. But most of the time, you would get together with your crew. You'd have work orders to do, job assignments. It's often out there doing upgrades, replacing old poles, maybe reconductoring where you've had a lot of growth and your wire was a size for less capacity, and due to the growth, you need to change out, upsize the conductor there. And again, it's always in a crew environment that you'd be working. That safety factor comes into play there. You're not out there working alone. So you want to be a team player, someone who likes being around people, for sure. And I think that environment is conducive as long as you enjoy being outdoors. That is not outdoors, it's not sunny and 75. That's outdoors and in the frigid, in the ice, as well as all the way through any level of heat. Obviously, you take safety into mind with hydrating and all the things. It's not like it's a military boot camp per se.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges in linemancy?
I think that it is a grind, and so you are getting paid well, but you got to stay focused and continue to perform to be able to advance. And I think that you have that aspect, as well as you must have a strong desire to be outdoors in all conditions. But I think that once you get that in your blood, and then you're out there and just seeing how rewarding it is, knowing that you're making a difference. I mean, we know that during the ice storm, what was the top story on the news every day? And who was it that was making a difference?
That's right.
It was those line workers that were out there on the front line, that were taking charge, that were in dangerous conditions, both weather and with the voltage, and making sure that the community was safe. We know that when trees are down and lines are entangled in, they always want the line crew to come out and verify that the lines are dead. Or in some instances, the average citizen doesn't know the difference in a cable versus an electric conductor.
I certainly don't. So it's very, very fair. How would you say technology is evolving in the line of work?
Yeah, so it's definitely evolved a lot in recent years and continues to do so. Everything has gotten more automated, more electronic. We have what we call distribution automation tools that utilities are using that gives feedback where to be able to find faults easier, as well as maybe auto reclose on scenarios if the fault clears. And so that's where when you're at home and you get the blinks in your light and you're like, oh, why did it? Well, it came back on because it was trying to reclose. And then if the fault doesn't clear because it's still in the lines, because you may have a limb or something just brush through the lines and it clears itself, and then you have auto recloser so you're not having to roll a truck out there.
Interesting. If a high school student is interested in coming along, what should they do right now while they're in high school?
Yeah, I think that any utility would be impressed if a young individual came in and said, look, I'm a junior, I'm a senior, and I know that working out there and making a difference in my community as a line worker would be a great opportunity. I think that they would be impressed with that. And, again, they may have an opportunity for summertime work where they could come in and get out there and, may just be a weed eater, but it's showing work ethic. It's showing the ability to show up. It's showing commitment and dedication.
I love how you keep pointing out, and I think this is the perfect mindset to have, that this is not just a job. We think of linemen, any part of electricity. We think of, this is something that has to happen from A to B. This is something that needs repair. I do love that you keep bringing up, this is an essential part of your community, and you're giving back to your community in this role. And I think that's such a great mindset for really anyone to have when it comes to how they approach their job. Where would you say you picked that up when you started working in utilities? Like, when did you see this is not just a job, this is not my 9 to 5, like I'm a part of this community and we're helping communities?
Yeah, I mean, it's really been the mission going back with TVA. It's the New Deal created the Tennessee Valley Authority, and when you think about that, its purpose was to electrify the South. So you had poverty because you had no power. Electricity is advancement, and it's now become second nature, just like we were talking earlier about broadband. Broadband is the new utility, the utility of the future, but we all know that your broadband services aren't very good if you don't have any power. And so I think when you think about that, it's that customer focused, community driven mindset, and everybody wants to have air conditioning, and everybody wants to have heat, and everybody wants to have the lights on, in the refrigerator.
That's right.
These are something that is just second nature to us, but when your power is out, it suddenly becomes a huge inconvenience.
That's right.
Although we go back 90 years ago, and that would have been such a luxury to have.
That's true. That's true. What's one piece of advice you would give your younger self about pursuing a career in this field?
So, there are many ways to advance your career, and certainly college is one way that is the right fit for a lot of people. But when you think about those wages that we talked about, the wages that you would be achieving at, we're talking 5 years down the road, you're at 23 years old, making $35, $37 an hour. That's pretty impressive money. Even when you compare it to college wages, in many instances, you're going to come out ahead of, what some of those college kids get. And that doesn't even mention the fact that, yes, you will, hold call. And so that call would rotate. So it's not, just like a doctor holds call, it's what we normally think about. And so, these individuals would hold call again with a crew, and, so you're going to get, standby pay on top of your hourly rate, as well as any overtime call outs for any outages that happen. So, when you put that together, then suddenly, we start out at $35, $38, $40 an hour. So we're at $70,000, $80,000. You get a couple of standbys in a year, probably depending on the utility you're at, every 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to get some additional kicker there. And then any outages that you work during that, as well as, you can get called out for widespread outages on the weeks that you're not on call. And so, then by the time you add all that up, suddenly you get your W-2 in January, and you're like, wow, you're at $90,000 to $100,000.
Wow.
And so that's something we don't really think about. And so, I think that's what I would tell the younger self, that there are these great opportunities, but you have to start that plan, because you're not going to become a journeyman line worker without going through that whole apprenticeship program.
That's right. Very similar to a college program. You said 4 years. That's our typical 4-year degree we think of as 4 years. Whereas at this point, you're going to have your training, and then the other part of that 4 years, you're getting paid for it. So
Absolutely.
You're investing in yourself while getting paid for yourself. I just had a quick question. Do you have any funny or memorable moments with any of the linemen that you've had the experience working with?
Well, being at a small utility, when I was at Etowah, we had 5,200 electric meters, so it was very small. And when you have an outage there, much different than Nashville Electric, where they're bringing in all these line crews, it's kind of all hands on deck. So certainly there's times that you were out there, 3 a.m. Driving the lines out, trying to help your crew find the fault, even though you're the manager. Now, again, that's their playground. They're there at a quarterback. You're there just to assist as they need. And there'll be times you're walking down the side of a road at 3 a.m. and suddenly you hear some dogs barking or things that will definitely grab your attention and create a scare.
I'm sure with it being in a 5,000 person, there's got to be some people that have your phone number as well, that are checking to see, hey, when's this coming back on? How many calls do you think you got during that time?
Everyone. And I think that was one thing that we've reflected on when we talk about rural versus urban.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the key benefits of a good locally owned rural utility is you are connected at all levels within the utility. You know, they do know you at the grocery store. They know you at the high school sporting events, and yes, they do have your numbers, and will certainly be just curious as to when the power would come back on.
That's right.
But in those small communities, you're in Rotary Club, Lions Club, whatever, with these leaders. Whether or not it's the head of maintenance at the nursing home or the hospital, and so yes, you do have each other's numbers in a small town for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Would you like to throw in any closing thoughts for any of our students as they consider what their future might entail?
Yeah, I know you'd ask about electricians, at the start, and so your line workers are normally working on higher voltage, and the line workers are always going to be in a crew setting, and so I think it's all about that being in a cohesive team and working together. Whereas some electricians work more independently in some instances, but certainly there's obviously large projects where there's a whole crew of electricians working together. But there is the private sector where you can get out there and just do the handyman electrician work, and those are different settings. Whether or not you want to be that independent person, or whether or not you want to be working in a crew. Then I would also say, when you think about the public utility sector, not only do you have those great wages that we talked about for line workers, but also have that good government benefits at your local public utility.
That's right. So a future study that we need to look at is the introvert versus the extrovert, the working with a crew with the linemen versus working on their own as electricians. We need to make sure they're aware of that, maybe.
I think there could be some truth to that.
There could be some truth. We're not saying it's science. We're just saying we could take a look. Brian, thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Brian gave us a great look at the statewide demand for these skills, proving that you can build a highly lucrative, debt-free career while serving the community that raised you. And that future is exactly what our next guest has been working to create for every county in Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee has been a champion for the skilled trades throughout his time in office. He'll tell you that linemen are needed in every single one of Tennessee's 95 counties, and that a career in the trades doesn't just pay well. It lets you stay home, raise your family, and be part of the local economy. Please welcome Governor Bill Lee.
Just a month or two ago, we had a terrible ice storm. My family didn't have power for days out in the rural community where we live, out on the farm. And I saw the linemen out working at the end of our dead-end road, and it was late. And so I thought it would be a good thing for me to go down and just say hello to them, surprise them a little bit. And it was a surprise to them. But I just came walking out there and said, "How are y'all doing?" And "Sure, I'm glad you're here." And it was probably 11 o'clock at night, and it was probably 10 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. And now, on the one hand, that to someone who's thinking about being in a career, they might think, I don't know about 10 degrees at night and 11 o'clock at night. It's a very unusual circumstance they found themselves in. But you talk about someone who is changing people's situations out there. Those men and women are doing whatever it takes to bring, in some cases, life-giving power back on to these communities when their power is out. And it doesn't just take an ice storm to do that. That can be happening at any time of the day or night. It's fulfilling to know that what you're doing is actually much bigger than the task that is before you. I used to remind the folks that worked in our company that did soldering and welding for piping for hospitals. I said, you're not just running feet of pipe, you're running life-saving oxygen to a NICU that's gonna keep a baby alive. Like, you have to remind yourself, if you're a skilled technician and a tradesman and someone who's devoted your life to being a lineman, for example, which is very high-skilled, high-voltage, difficult work. Very few people can do it. It takes certain kind of person to commit themselves to that job. It's It's very rewarding, by the way. You know, that very lucrative, really high paying jobs, really great jobs because there's a high demand for them. But you're also providing a service that is needed by millions of people, something that they can't provide for themselves. And in real moments of crisis, something that they desperately need. So it is a purposeful way to live. It is an incredibly good living. There is a high demand for the skill set necessary to do it. Not everyone has that kind of brain that can do that kind of work that connects their hands to their brain. But for those who have it, and for those who want to pursue that pathway, gosh, it's a good one, and especially for young people in rural communities. I mean, this is a job that allows you to work in rural communities, stay there, make a really good living, raise your family in the same place you were raised, if that's what you want to do. And there's a whole lot of folks that have for many years thought they can't stay home and stay in their county and work, but every county in Tennessee needs linemen, every one of them. And there's a high demand for it. So, yeah, it's a great career.
Tennessee.